You ran that red light. License and registration.
Officer, lights were on. There's a patient in back.
I didn't ask about the patient. Hand it over.
He's having a heart attack. We're minutes away.
You move when I tell you to move.
Officer Derek Mills had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 8 minutes, a 67-year-old grandfather would take his last breath. A 12-year cop would destroy his entire career, and a $19.4 million lawsuit would change everything. The paramedic he pulled over was James Parker. Parker was a certified critical care paramedic. He had done over 4,000 emergency runs. In 9 years, he had never lost a single patient during transport, not one. Parker had been picked for the county's best cardiac response team. He trained other paramedics. He knew exactly how many minutes his patient had left, and he knew exactly how many minutes this cop was stealing. The ambulance dash cam was recording everything. The medical equipment was logging every heartbeat. Every second was being saved. Before I continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been stopped by someone who cared more about power than people? Drop your answer in the comments below. But Officer Mills had no idea who he just pulled over. James Anthony Parker was 34 years old. He worked as a senior critical care paramedic for Jefferson County EMS. This was not some rookie. This was one of the best in the state. Parker started as an EMT when he was 22. By 25, he became a full paramedic. Then he earned his critical care certification. Only 3% of paramedics in America have that level of training. He was picked for the county's Mobile Intensive Care Unit. This team handles the worst cases, heart attacks, major trauma, the calls where every second matters. In 9 years, Parker had run over 4,000 emergency transports. His record was perfect. 0 patient deaths during transport. He had trained 47 new paramedics. He even wrote articles for EMS World magazine about how to save heart attack victims. His co-workers had a nickname for him. They called him Steady Eddie, because no matter how bad things got, Parker stayed calm. His dad was a firefighter. Parker grew up around first responders. Saving lives was in his blood. Now here is what makes this story even worse. On March 14th, James Parker was not looking for trouble. He was just doing his job, the same job he had done thousands of times before. Officer Derek Mills had a reputation in Jefferson County, and it was not a good one. Mills was 38 years old. He had been a cop for 12 years. He worked for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. On paper, he looked like an experienced officer, but his file told a different story. In 8 years, Mills had 14 formal complaints against him. 14, every single complaint had the same pattern: aggressive traffic stops, blowing up over small violations, targeting minority drivers way more than others. Let me tell you about a few of these incidents. In 2019, Mills pulled over a black doctor for what he called suspicious driving. He held the doctor for 45 minutes, found nothing wrong. The doctor filed a complaint. It was thrown out. In 2021, Mills stopped a Hispanic family in a minivan. He said they were following too close. He made everyone get out of the car, even a 4-year-old child. That family got a $32,000 settlement. In 2022, Mills tased an unarmed college student during a traffic stop. The student had a broken taillight. That was it. The student got hurt. The department reviewed the case. They said Mills did nothing wrong. 3 different supervisors had flagged Mills as a problem. He was told to take de-escalation training twice. He never finished it. Other cops called him the quota king behind his back. But on March 14th, Derek Mills made a choice that no amount of protection could save him from, because this time, his choices would kill someone. Type justice in the comments if you think 14 complaints should have been enough to stop him. Now let me tell you about the man in the back of that ambulance. Robert Chen was 67 years old. He was a retired electrical engineer. He worked at Westinghouse for 35 years. He came to America from Taiwan in 1978. He built his whole life here. Robert had been married to his wife Linda for 42 years. They had 3 kids and 5 grandchildren. He was a good man, a family man. On March 14th, Robert was at home with Linda. At 2:47 in the afternoon, he started feeling chest pain. Linda knew something was wrong. She called 911 right away. The ambulance arrived in 6 minutes. James Parker was the lead paramedic. His partner Sarah Brennan rode in the back with the patient. Parker checked Robert and knew immediately. This was a STEMI heart attack. That is the most dangerous kind. Without fast treatment, the heart muscle dies. Every minute matters. The hospital was 8 minutes away. The cardiac team was already waiting. They were ready to save Robert's life. At that moment, Robert Chen had a 90% chance of survival, maybe higher. Everything was going right. The response was fast. The paramedics were skilled. The hospital was close. Then Officer Derek Mills turned on his lights. If stories like this matter to you, take a Seco ND and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to see how this ends. It was 3:12 in the afternoon. The ambulance was racing down Highway 7, lights flashing, sirens blaring. Robert Chen was in the back, fighting for his life. Then Parker saw the patrol car behind him, blue and red lights. Mills was pulling him over. Parker signaled and stopped safely. He knew the law. Emergency vehicles have the right of way, but he also knew arguing with a cop could make things worse, so he pulled over. Mills walked up to the driver's window. His body camera was on, for the first 90 seconds anyway, then it mysteriously stopped recording. "You ran that red light back there," Mills said. Parker stayed calm. "Officer, I have my lights and sirens on. I have a critical patient." "License, now." Parker handed it over. He kept talking. "Sir, this man is having a heart attack. We are 2 minutes from Memorial Hospital. Please let us go." Mills did not respond. He walked back to his patrol car to run the license. 1 minute passed, then 2. In the back of the ambulance, Sarah Brennan watched the monitors. Robert Chen's blood pressure was dropping. His heart was getting weaker. 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Parker got out of the ambulance. He walked toward Mills. "Officer, this man will die if we don't move." Mills pointed at him. "Get back in your vehicle or I will arrest you for obstruction." Parker went back, but he kept pleading through the window. 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Sarah opened the back door of the ambulance. She shouted at Mills, "His blood pressure is crashing. We need to go now." Mills barely looked at her. "Lady, get back in that ambulance." 7 minutes. Parker grabbed the radio. He called the hospital. "We are being held by law enforcement. Patient is critical." The hospital tried to contact the sheriff's department. No response. Then it happened. Robert Chen went into cardiac arrest. His heart stopped beating. Sarah started CPR in the back of the ambulance, pushing on his chest, trying to keep him alive. 8 minutes. Finally, Mills walked back. He handed Parker the license. "Next time, watch where you're driving." The ambulance took off. 2 minutes to the hospital. They arrived at 3:21. The cardiac team was waiting. They worked on Robert for 13 minutes. At 3:34 in the afternoon, Robert Chen was pronounced dead. Drop a comment if you think 8 minutes should ever be worth more than a human life. At Memorial Hospital, the scene was heartbreaking. Linda Chen arrived minutes after the ambulance. She did not know what happened on the road. She only knew her husband was in trouble. A nurse met her in the waiting room. The look on her face said everything. Linda collapsed. Her husband of 42 years was gone. Dr. William Torres was the heart doctor who was supposed to save Robert. He had been ready. His team had been ready. They had done this 1,000 times before. When he found out what happened, he was furious. "We were ready," he told investigators. "We were waiting. 8 minutes killed him." In the hallway, James Parker broke down. In 9 years, he had never lost a patient during transport. Not one. Now a man was dead, and Parker knew it was not his fault, but that did not make the pain any less. Here is where things get interesting. Back at the sheriff's department, Derek Mills filed his report. He wrote that he stopped an ambulance for running a red light. He made no mention of a dying patient. He wrote it up like a routine traffic stop. But Mills forgot something. The ambulance had a dash cam. It recorded everything. The audio, the video, every word Mills said, every second he wasted. The ambulance also had medical recording equipment. It logged Robert Chen's vital signs with timestamps. You could see the exact moment his condition got worse. You could see exactly when his heart stopped. And there was the hospital radio. Parker's desperate calls for help were all recorded, time-stamped, saved. That same evening, a supervisor at the department reviewed the dash cam footage. He watched it once, then he watched it again, then a third time. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, he later said. The supervisor immediately reported what he found. But here is the thing that will make your blood boil. Sheriff David Hartley saw the footage too, and his first move was to try to bury it. He wanted to protect his officer. He wanted this whole thing to go away quietly. But wait, someone on the inside had other plans. Within 72 hours, a local reporter received an anonymous tip. Someone sent her the dash cam footage. Someone who worked in that department. Someone who could not stay quiet after watching a man die for nothing. Sarah Brennan also gave her statement. He didn't care, she said about Mills. He looked at us like we were lying, like saving a life meant nothing to him. A driver who passed the scene that day came forward too. She had seen Mills standing by his patrol car, looking at his phone, while 2 paramedics begged him to let them go. The evidence was piling up. The dash cam proved Mills lied. The ambulance never ran a red light. His whole reason for the stop was fake. The medical records proved the delay killed Robert. Doctors testified that Robert had a 94% chance of living. If the ambulance had arrived 8 minutes earlier, he would almost certainly be alive. And Mills' body cam, it stopped working after 90 seconds, right after the first exchange. Convenient, right? 10 minutes later, James Parker wrote his own report. He included everything, every word, every second, every plea he made. This was a man who knew the truth mattered. Let me know in the comments, do you think that anonymous person did the right thing by leaking that footage? Once the footage went public, everything changed fast. The State Bureau of Investigation took over the case. There was a clear conflict of interest. The sheriff's department could not investigate its own officer, not after Sheriff Hartley tried to hide the evidence. The FBI also opened its own investigation. They were looking at civil rights violations. This was now a federal matter. Within 30 days, a grand jury was called. They reviewed all the evidence, the dash cam, the medical records, the witness statements, Mills' history of complaints. The decision was quick. Derek Mills was arrested and charged. The charges were serious. Involuntary manslaughter, that means killing someone by being extremely careless. Criminally negligent homicide, that means causing death by ignoring obvious danger. He was also charged with official misconduct and filing a false police report. Remember, he wrote that the ambulance ran a red light. The footage proved that was a lie. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Here is what the jury heard. The medical expert was clear. The 8-minute delay directly caused Robert Chen's death, he said. Without that delay, he would have lived. Dr. Torres took the stand. If that man had arrived on time, I would have saved his life. I have done it 1,000 times. This death was preventable. James Parker testified too. His voice was steady, but you could see the pain. I told him someone was dying. He looked me in the eye. He said he didn't care. Sarah Brennan described watching Robert's heart stop. I was doing CPR while that cop stood outside running a license plate. A man died in my hands because of an ego. The defense tried everything. They said Mills was just following the rules. They said he could not have known the patient would die. They blamed the paramedics for not explaining the emergency better. None of it worked. The jury went to discuss. They came back in 4 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge did not hold back. During sentencing, he looked at Mills and said this: "You had the power to save a life. Instead, you chose to exercise power over others. You are a disgrace to that uniform." The sentence was harsh: 15 years for involuntary manslaughter, 20 years for criminally negligent homicide. Those would run one after the other, not at the same time, plus 3 more years for official misconduct. Total prison time, 38 years. Derek Mills was 38 years old. He would be 76 before he could even ask for release. As they led him out in handcuffs, Mills said nothing. No apology, no remorse, just silence. But for the Chen family, this was only half the fight. If you want to see justice through to the end, hit subscribe. The civil case had even bigger consequences. While the criminal case was building, the video spread like fire. The dash cam footage was uploaded to a local Facebook group. Within 2 hours, it had 50,000 views. Local news picked it up that same night. By hour 6, it had 500,000 views. It was trending across the state. By hour 12, national news had the story. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, everyone was talking about it. By hour 24, the video had 4.2 million views across all platforms. By hour 48, it went international. BBC in England, Al Jazeera, CBC in Canada, the whole world was watching. The hashtag Justice for Robert Chen started trending. People were angry, really angry. The comments flooded in. He watched a man die to prove a point. Monster. This is why people don't trust cops. That paramedic did everything right. The system failed him. 8 minutes, that's all it took to destroy a family. Reporters started digging. They found Mills' complaint history, 14 complaints, all those incidents he got away with. The pattern was clear now. They found the emails where supervisors warned about Mills. 3 different supervisors, all ignored. They found out Sheriff Hartley tried to hide the footage. That became its own scandal. Former cops who worked with Mills started talking. They spoke without using their names. We all knew he was a problem, one said, but nobody did anything. The sheriff's department put out a weak statement. We are conducting a thorough internal review. People saw right through it. Mills never spoke publicly. His lawyers told him to stay quiet. He was placed on leave with pay. This story was shared millions of times across the internet. Share this video if you think others need to see what really happened. The criminal case put Mills in prison, but the Chen family wanted more. They wanted the whole system to pay. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit. They sued Derek Mills personally. They sued the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, and they sued Sheriff David Hartley for trying to cover it up. The lawsuit claimed civil rights violations. It said the department knew Mills was dangerous. They had proof, 14 complaints, 3 supervisor warnings, all in the files. During discovery, the lawyers dug deep. They found emails where supervisors begged their bosses to do something about Mills. Nobody listened. They found that Mills never finished his required de-escalation training. He was supposed to complete it twice. He skipped it both times. The department signed off anyway. They found that Sheriff Hartley personally approved Mills to keep working after the 2022 tasing incident, even after an unarmed student was hurt. Hartley said Mills did nothing wrong. The case was strong, really strong. The department knew they would lose at trial. So they settled. Want to know the amount? $19.4 million. That is one of the largest police misconduct settlements in state history. Here is how it broke down. $12 million went to the Chen family for their loss. That is called compensatory damages. It can never bring Robert back, but it shows the cost of what was done. $5 million was punitive damages against Mills personally. That money will come from anything he ever earns for the rest of his life. $2.4 million covered the family's legal fees. But money was not the only consequence. Sheriff David Hartley was forced to resign. The man who tried to hide the truth lost his job. 3 supervisors who ignored warnings about Mills were demoted. The whole department was placed under federal oversight. That is called a consent decree. The feds now watch everything they do. And Derek Mills was permanently banned from law enforcement. He can never wear a badge again, anywhere in the country. Linda Chen gave a statement after the settlement. No amount of money brings my husband back, she said, but maybe this will make the next officer think twice before they play God with someone's life. Then the Chen family did something beautiful. They donated $2 million to start the Robert Chen First Responder Protection Fund. This fund helps paramedics who face the same thing James Parker faced. 3 months after the verdict, James Parker held a press conference. He had stayed quiet during the trial. Now he was ready to talk. He stood at the microphone. His voice was calm but heavy. I replay that stop every single night, he said. Every decision I made, every word I said, wondering if there was anything I could have done different. He paused. Robert Chen was my patient. His death is a weight I will carry forever. Then Parker talked about what this meant for all paramedics. In 9 years, I never lost a patient during transport, not one, and I did not lose Robert Chen to a heart attack. I lost him to an ego. Every paramedic in this country knows this fear. The fear that someone with a badge will decide their power matters more than your patient's life. He had a message for other first responders. Document everything, write down every detail. Your patient cannot speak for themselves. You are their voice. He also spoke to police officers, and this part surprised people. Most of you are good people doing a hard job, I know that, but when you see someone like Derek Mills, you have to speak up. Your silence makes you part of the problem. Parker said what he wanted to see change. Laws protecting ambulances during transport, training for cops on how to handle emergencies, clear rules about when you can and cannot stop emergency vehicles. He ended with this. Robert Chen survived a heart attack. He survived the ambulance ride. He did not survive a traffic stop that should keep all of us up at night. This case is not about one bad cop. It is about a broken system. Studies show 67% of paramedics have been attacked on the job. They face danger every day, and sometimes that danger comes from the people who are supposed to protect them. Mills had 14 complaints. He kept his badge. How many other officers out there have the same record? How many are still on patrol right now? After this case, the state passed Roberts' law. Now police need supervisor approval before stopping an emergency vehicle. It is a start. So let me ask you, should power ever matter more than saving a life? Should 14 complaints not be enough to fire a dangerous cop? Should we wait for the next family to lose someone they love before we fix this? Because if we do not demand better, if we do not track problem officers, if we do not protect the people trying to save lives, then we are just waiting for the next Derek Mills, the next stopped ambulance, the next funeral that never should have happened. Comment below if you believe emergency vehicles should never be stopped during active transport. I want to see where this community stands. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We are going to keep exposing these cases. We are going to keep demanding accountability. We are going to keep fighting for the people who run toward emergencies while the rest of us run away. This is not just about Derek Mills or Robert Chen or James Parker. It is about every ambulance on every road. It is about whether we protect power or protect people. It is about all of us. See you in the next one. Word count 205.